Hi, and welcome to Empower Together. I am your host, Desiree Parker, and I am so excited to have with me today Chih Lin, who is just one of the coolest people I know. She is the co-founder and chief storytelling officer for Dumpling Dudez, the first and only rainbow dumpling making experience startup in the world. Chi, though, started when I met him as a mechanical engineer and then later as a director of marketing and innovation at NOV, like huge, S&P 500 company. So this was a huge career shift. Y'all started in 2019. She started the company with his husband and co-founder, Michael Dorsey. And it's just been amazing ever since. I have so enjoyed watching you guys because it looks like the most fun place to work ever.
Oh, thank
So
you.
welcome, Chi. I'm so glad to have you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, and congratulations on your new journey. I've been following you
Thank you.
for since we started. We talk, and then see
Yes.
you have your new book. Super exciting. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
can talk about that later. And
Thank
then,
you.
of course, to see your content creation gets getting better and better every day. I'm so impressed.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, especially from you because you're like such a marketing genius.
Well, thank you.
That was, we met. You were still at NOV, like you said, as a marketing director,
Yeah.
and I was working in anti-trafficking. I was working for an organization called Redeemed, and
Mhm.
a collection of professionals had come together, and you were one of those professionals to help with marketing.
Yeah.
Specifically like fundraising for marketing or marketing for fundraising, because that's not something nonprofits really have a budget for. And as operations director there, that was part of my job was
Right.
was getting the fundraising and the marketing and all that kind of stuff together. And so you guys were a godsend. And I just love. I remember meeting you, and I just you were so cool, and I just connected with you right away. You were just so fun. And Yeah, it was great. So, what was your, just tell me a little bit about, your experience. It was obviously, that was my experience. What was yours?
It was very fulfilling. I think at the time I was getting kind of burnt out at work a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the company for a long time. I started as
Yeah.
an engineer, and halfway through pivot into product management, then pivot into to marketing. Uh, a lot of fun, me, a lot of people. But like something
Mm-hmm.
is missing, Sometimes trauma does not mean something bad happened, but something is like missing. Trying to figure out what it is, trying to find myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when David posted something about the anti-trafficking, I thought, wow, that sounds really fulfilling, and maybe that can also get me out of the box because
Yeah.
working for corporation marketing is a lot different than a
Yes.
nonprofit, something that's more human driven. So give me a
Mm-hmm.
really good outlet and also can make a difference at the same time. And then that's how
Yeah.
we met, and we still talk to each other. So like that's great.
And that was, yeah, because that was like 2000, like 17, 18, something
17,
like
I
that.
think.
17, yeah. And I was getting close to burnout at that point. That was, we were working on our second gala. I had started what's called the Keep Houston Free Gala. They're I think on their eighth or one. Um,
Right.
and I put on the first like three of them to get that started. And so this was the second year I think we were doing it, and we had upped the stakes big time. So you guys
Yeah.
coming in, well, the first year we'd done a free venue, and it was bare bones kind of thing. But bringing in you guys, I mean, we upped the stakes, and yeah, it was weighing on me big time. It was within a year of that, I crashed
Oh, I
because it's
bet.
just, it was a lot. Kind of where you are, I was getting to the point where I had been doing what I was doing for a very long time. Um, but uh, I was definitely missing something. Definitely missing something. And just feeling a lot of like burden, a lot of being like kind of squashed, you know, um, in my role. So um, yeah, I loved having you guys help, and I love having you, as such a creative person come in. and show us new ways to do things and show me new ways to do things and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So that was really exciting. It
Oh,
was really
cool. Thank you.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can get scary sometimes, right? Like when we trying
Yeah.
professionally and personally, when we try something new,
Hmm.
it's always that self doubt. Number one, self doubt, like behind you, and also like talk about trauma because you are the
Yeah.
trauma expert. I mean, I think we have a conversation next time. Brene Brown is the shame expert. You are the
Oh,
trauma
yeah.
expert. I
Oh, thank
never,
you.
yeah, I've never think about like how trauma impact my life. I didn't.
Yes.
A lot of time you feel like, oh, I'm making really good money, everything is good, but like, but it's still trauma behind that, right? Because there's stuff that didn't go
Yes.
well, didn't go the direction you want, and in many cases, we're dealing with people that have different trauma too
Yes.
and that you work
Absolutely.
with. And a lot of time, I would take it very personally. If things didn't go my
Hmm.
way, I'll be like, "Wow, this person must not like me." And then,
Hmm.
but like now looking back, a lot of times it's like they have their own trauma to deal with. And then personally,
Yeah.
I used to like trying to take on the caretaker role and be like, "Okay,
Hmm.
how do I help you to solve your trauma?" And then once we do that, maybe we can work better together. But a lot of time, it's a self discovery. I feel like you kind of have to
Yes.
discover yourself first
Hmm.
before you can help other people. And I just didn't feel like I was
Absolutely.
able to discover myself very well at the time. 4 years later, I feel like I'm in a better space and doing stuff I
Yeah.
love. And doesn't mean there's no trauma. It still comes and
Sure.
goes.
Oh, yeah. It's still it's a constant. I feel like peeling back of layers.
Yes.
As you resolve
Hmm.
one layer, you get a little deeper, and discover something else maybe that's there that you didn't realize.
Mhm.
And I think that's about the point maybe we were both at, because I know I was at a point where I was like I felt something was missing and I felt like things weren't quite right, but like I rationalized to myself, I was like, but I have such a good life.
Right.
It's like, I have two healthy kids, and I'm married, and I have, we live in a nice house, and I mean, what do I have to be mm, depressed about? Like, traumatized by? Like my parents aren't divorced. And all of the things, especially when you encounter such deep trauma all the
Right.
time. Um, you can undermine your own, um, and be like, well, you know, I had it fun, I had it fun, and that's not the right attitude to have. I had somebody tell me once, they're like, just because somebody else had it, it could be worse, doesn't mean it couldn't also be better. So that, oh well, it could be worse. Well, maybe, but it could also be better.
Yeah, it's the whole mindset thing too. I
Hmm.
guess for me, trauma, like, yeah, I didn't know I have a lot of trauma. I also didn't know I had some trauma from the childhood. I thought I have a really good
Yeah.
childhood, and then until recently, later on, I actually seek professional help with therapies and
Yes.
coaches and stuff.
Same.
Um, but even that, it was really hard to talk about. People look at it as a weakness.
Yes.
People look at vulnerability as a weakness, right?
Yes.
Um, so I try different stuff. I know you can probably tell me how you travel. I try different stuff to kind of figure out how do I be more authentic? How do I be myself? How
Hmm.
do I be more freely to share not just my success, but like vulnerabilities and how things didn't go well. Uh,
Hmm.
and being marketing that's tricky because um,
Yes.
a lot of big corporations they don't not like they don't they love to share their success story,
Yes.
right? They will share like we had this brand new product, and then
Yes.
we it's going to save you time and money, but nobody talk about the struggle the engineer has to go through. Like maybe they
Yes.
try 10 different ideas, 9 different prototypes. Maybe the project gets shut down with no project. They get back up and do it again. And I think those are the
Hmm.
story I wanted to share, but didn't able to share. So like when I started my own company, I shared the good and the bad.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Because it's 10 times fall down, and then one time, that one time you finally succeed, or even honestly, it's more than it's like 100 times you fail.
Yeah.
And then that one time you finally um, see the success. And you're right. People don't highlight that journey. It's all, here's the end product.
Yeah.
Here's the beautiful shiny end product without the mud and the gunk and the cracks and the everything it took to
It's
get
like
to it.
watching people's Instagram, right? They have this like
Yes.
perfect life, but in reality, it's not true. And then you
Yeah.
probably work with a lot of leader, and then they are super successful, but they all have to deal with their mind, what they're thinking, their inner
Hmm.
doubt, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I
All the.
I listen to a lot of the podcasts. I mean, including yours, and also like How I
Mhm.
Built This by Guy Raz,
Oh yeah.
and like the more you kind of hear this success story, you do. I do kind of discover that some of the success come with a lot of pain.
Yes.
And some of this,
Absolutely.
yeah, or struggle and trauma, and then you don't really see those like
Yeah.
rarely. So I
Yeah.
definitely
It
appreciate
was
that.
a it was a long time. I mean, it was a while before I, really publicly talked about, in 2018. I mean, I really hit burnout, and I very much remember, because I know you remember also, we had also started a social enterprise
Right.
at Redeemed at that time, and so that was having survivors from our program were working for us and making products, bath products, and things like that. So I was operations director, but I was also the founder and running this company that was owned by the organization.
Yeah.
And then it was right after the gala that year, which
Hmm.
was an intensive time, and a lot of work, that I just crashed. There was just one morning I was at work, and I don't remember exactly what had happened on the Redeemed side, but I know on the Sparrow House Botanical side, the social enterprise side, I came in and there was a mistake on a huge order. There was
Hmm.
a miscount or something like that. And we didn't have the supplies to complete the order. And it was that last straw. And I remember I just walked back into my office and I sat down at the desk and I just lost it.
Oh.
And I couldn't get it back. It's one of those things. And I was like, this is so unprofessional, because there are our clients were in there,
Hmm.
and all this. And I was like, couldn't couldn't get it back. So I was, of course, sent home. But it was a very real, like, my board put me on sabbatical,
Hmm.
um, because they recognized how serious it was. I'd been doing this for such a long time, and I needed months to get my life together,
Oh, for sure.
um, and figure out what was going on. Um, and that was just, the first step
Sometimes you
for
do
me.
need that rest. I feel like
Yeah,
resting, journaling, which is really hard to do. I've been trying to journal,
I know. I'll do it for a
meditating.
while and then I get out of the habit.
Right? I find out the other day it takes 60. Is it 66 day? I think, or 60
Mm-hmm.
something day to create a new habit. I
To
thought it was
form a new
21
habit.
day. No wonder
I,
not
I
seeing
thought that's what
6.
I heard.
No, it's like 68 day, or we can look it up
Ooh,
later. But
yeah.
it's about 3 months or two and a half
But then
months.
only like 3 days to break it.
Yes,
Like, oh,
for sure. Like especially when you walk
I can
out
be
and like
lazy
in
for
your
three
shop, you're
days.
like, I'm done.
Yeah, I can definitely be lazy for 3 days.
Yeah, but
So
I do. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, because so this was not too, I mean, this was kind of parallel, because you left NOV,
Yeah,
right around this time too.
I know. Isn't that weird? And then it's crazy
Mm-hmm.
because I left. I think it's about like a year because I started to help out with Red and Redeem because I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for something else. But I remember like a year before I quit, we went on vacation to California, rent a fabulous
Mm-hmm.
beach house. Me and my husband both make really good money at the time, and then I remember I will grab my coffee and then I will take selfie, that Instagram live and be like, oh, living my best life. But in
Yes.
reality, I will walk over to the beach with my coffee. I will listen to the Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack, great musical you haven't seen yet. and I just cry. I was so
Mm,
miserable. I was like, wow, something's not wrong with me. I first of all, just out of shame. I was like,
yeah.
wow, I'm not a very grateful person. I had this amazing job,
Yeah.
and I'm a great boyfriend at the time for 12 years, and why am I not happy? And it's so much. It's
Hmm.
scary when you
It
first
is.
realize you're unhappy. It is very very scary. So when I got back, is when I kind of reach out to Mike and say, first of all, I asked him to marry me. I said, would you like to marry me? We've been together for so long. Then I say, we gotta test the true. The next question is the true love question. Like, that fancy job, 6-figure income I have. I'm gonna quit that job later. I think about quitting my job. I'm gonna give it a try, but I'm gonna quit my job. Would you be
Hmm.
okay if I quit my job and then start something new? You don't have to join me if you don't want to. But I just
Hmm.
realized that now you say yes to marry me. This is your last chance to say no. If you think you want somebody that's more stable, that's fine. We can work that thing out. But this is the journey I think about taking on. And I'm just very lucky he
Hmm.
actually joined me on this journey.
Yeah. And that's so exciting. Because yeah, that's two big changes
Yeah.
at one time. And it's so, it's scary to ask your partner to take on, to go with you on that. Because,
Right.
obviously I left full-time employment to start my own business.
Yeah.
And to ask my husband to be like, okay, and part of my burnout story is, I did lose a 20-year marriage. Um,
Mhm.
and so that was a casualty of that experience. But I am remarried now. And so
Mhm.
to ask my husband after, less than 3 years of marriage, um, you know, what do you think if I leave my full time, job with benefits and a retirement plan and um, do this and start out with bringing in no money and have to build from ground zero?
Right.
And it's a big, it feels like a big test. But you have the right person um, and they stick with you,
I
you
know.
know, and that's
Yeah,
a
for
really
sure.
awesome feeling.
So I have a question for you. So do you feel, this is how I feel. Do you feel like, obviously everybody goes through trauma, and
Hmm.
I feel like either they know it or not, one way or the other. There's some just emotion that's tied to that. Me and my husband call it the pain body. We have pain body that they tied to the
Yes,
trauma. Um, it is really, really challenging and difficult to deal with it. But do you feel like you are the person you are because of the trauma that you have? Also, seem kind
absolutely.
of a blessing, right?
In some ways, yes. I mean, there are some things that I absolutely wish, that I would still take back. That I'm like that I experienced as a child, or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that. That I'm like, no child should have had to have gone through that.
right.
But did did it put me on a path that led me to where I am and the work that I do? Absolutely.
Right.
And so, while there are things that created trauma, in my life, I think that working through that, maybe not as early as I should have, but working through that, um, helped to shape, everything else and helped to shape. And the older I get, the more I realize, like, and come to terms with, it helped shape my worldview and my view of other people and my capacity to have empathy for others and just all of those things. So yeah, I absolutely
Yeah, I think compassion,
think.
a lot of compassion. For me, compassion and love, a lot of times those come
Mhm.
from trauma. So now I talk to people, I can really do feel like the emotional, not like maturity, but how emotional they are and the energy they kind of feed off. I definitely have more of
Mhm.
a compassion. Now I've been through a couple trauma and a couple different burnout.
Yeah.
Even with the new work, like we were doing Dumpling Do, everything was great, and then of course COVID happened. We had to
Oh
pivot
gosh, yeah.
overnight to do something out. We actually created the world's only bakeable dumpling for in 2020. Imagine in 2020.
Yes.
And then so I just worked all the way straight. So I think it's about 20 last year, 2022. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't stop. I quit my job on April 1st. I started Dumpling Dudez on April 1st. Like my husband thought
Mm-hmm.
we were gonna take 2 months off. No, we started the next day. So by 2022, I got burned out again. And also
Yeah.
working with your significant other is not as easy. You could
No, I
love
can't
that
imagine.
person to death, but working with them all the time created different challenges. So I've been
Yes.
through, yeah. So I've been through like 3, 4 months. That 2022, we kind of slowed the business down, trying to find
Mm-hmm.
myself again, and then uh, so Dumpling do kind of had to rebirth again that end of last
Mm-hmm.
year. Now we both do that, but Mike is doing yoga on the side. I'm doing marketing
It's
consultants on the
awesome.
side to give us that freedom because I feel like it's
Yes.
life is never ending pivoting and trauma comes and go, but
Yes.
as long as you can pivot, find your way again, then
Yes.
you are good again. But I think the mistake I make was I keep thinking life will be good when this happened. But when that happened,
Yes.
it lasts a little bit. Like, okay, I got promoted. Yo, great. I'm happy for 2 months. But then they kind of disappear
Yes.
because I didn't solve the core issue. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's only till this year I kind of discovered that, wow, okay, this is a journey that's going to happen over and over again. It's not the end of
Mm-hmm.
the journey. I'll probably get
No.
burned out again and have more trauma and have to deal with it. But that's just part of life.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. We think there's this destination that's
Yes.
going to make us fulfilled. You know, we're going to get there, and that's going to be, you know, now everything's going to be great. It's going to be when we reach this much income, or when we reach this level in our career, or when we this house, or whatever it is. But all that is, honestly, I think the journey is your whole life, and there are going to be just bends, like you said, pivots,
Yeah.
and you'll reach this bend in the road, and great, you accomplished this, but and you might get to rest there for a minute, but then it's going to be time to pivot again,
Right.
um, and go along on a new journey until your next bend in the road. You know, it's just, I think, constant. You know, my dad always told me, he's like, "There's nothing constant in life except change."
For sure. For sure.
You know, it's the only constant
Yeah.
is
And then
that
it's like
things
the
will change.
process too, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
heard this great saying they talk about, well, first of all, I do walking meditation. When
Mm-hmm.
I hit the second burnout, I do walking meditation every day for
Mm-hmm.
6 months. I still do it a couple times a week, but I just get so hot in Houston right now. So when I walk, I discovered that it's a practice about enjoying the moment and enjoying the
Mm-hmm.
process. Because it's about the destination and I just don't leave. I at home already, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody's
I'm already
mentioned
back
that,
where I'm going to be.
right? Somebody mentioned that about writing music, right? When you people write
Mm-hmm.
music, it's about the process and the journey. Because if you're just gonna go to the end of the music, then the shortest song will always be the greatest seller. But it's not. It's the
Right.
process and the journey. So there's something it's it sounds so easy when we say it, but it is quite a bit of work trying to enjoy
Oh,
the
yeah.
moment, enjoy the process. I forget about it all the
Oh,
time.
oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I constantly am thinking, like, okay, when I get to this point, I can rest. But even though I know, and I tell people, like, that's not how it works. But it's hard to keep that in mind. And that's why I think we have to constantly not just remind other people that we work with, but that I have to remind myself of that constantly. And I think that's part of why I'm drawn to the work I do,
Hmm.
um, because it's not just beneficial for other people, but it's an encouragement for me, um, to go through that process with people, um, and to remind myself of all of these things, and to
Right.
stay in, um, something that is an encouragement and an empowerment for people, because it helps to remind me, you know, of all of these things. Otherwise, you know, I think I would just never think about them. just get stuck back in the old, in old bad habits.
Do you feel like, because you help a lot of people going through trauma, and obviously you have a lot of experience for it, do you feel like it's also part of your own healing process by helping other people?
I definitely think that helping others helps us heal.
Right.
Um, I generally try to caution people against using other people to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, because we can, if we're still raw in our trauma, and we try to help others, we can cause that person damage. Um, if we're like bleeding on them with our own trauma. But I think if you're someone who's far enough along
Mm-hmm.
to recognize, that you still have these things, helping other people is a really good way to develop gratitude and appreciation and understanding and empathy.
So true. That's very true. Because when a lot of valid points in here, because when we first started Dumpling Do, I have one simple theory I'm trying to test.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I I, I just got so burned out. I was a lot of other stuff. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if whatever I can do next, I want to see if I can bring joy to other people. And if I can
Mm-hmm.
bring joy to other people, I can find joy in my life again. So obviously, I keep doing that for 2 years, 3 years, and it's really really good. But then I got burned out again, right? And I had to like rethink again on what it is. And I think I discovered that it's because I, like you say, you help other people, but at the same time, you gotta do work on yourself.
Yeah.
There are times like at the beginning, I just didn't do a lot of work on myself. I just
Mm-hmm.
go from one thing into the other thing and go just head on 100%.
Yeah.
So it feels like the trauma went away, but no, I just busy worry about other stuff and then didn't have time to
Yeah.
take care of myself. It's really until I really have
Yes.
time, some self time to work on my own trauma, work on my own issue, that
Yeah.
made me have a better idea about who I am and what I want to be
Yeah.
as a
And I
combination
think,
too.
I hope it's okay if I ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, with Dumpling Dudes, you are an openly gay
Mm-hmm.
business.
Right.
You've been in magazines, you've been profiled and featured, and even though what y'all do is amazing, and you go out and you spread joy, which I think is awesome, that can attract unpleasant attention, which sucks. But I know that is something that can potentially be traumatizing.
Yes. It took a little while to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because when I quit, one of my main idea is like if I'm going to have a business, I'm going to be authentic to myself. I'm going to
Yes.
share the good and the bad, and I'm going to share who I am. If people are not comfortable, it's LGBTQ owned business, then that's totally fine with me. People can choose wherever they want to buy, purchase from, but I want to live it out there. That way, I can be myself. I don't want to have
Hmm.
to introduce Mike as a business partner where he's actually my
Yes.
husband. Because for the
Yes.
heterosexual people usually celebrate and say, "Oh my God, you have a company with your wife. That's amazing and so cute together."
Yeah.
But as soon as I mention husband, and there are times that will create, you can instantly see their head change. Either they're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
it's so cute," or they're like, "Oh, okay," you know. Um,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is that we have quite a bit of negative message still in the beginning and
I'm
now
sorry.
on. Some people just don't like who I am just because simply we are gay and different.
Hmm.
Um, it take quite a while to not take it personal.
Yeah.
Not take it personal about somebody who don't even know us mentioning something.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's all within us. I think discrimination, people are always going to discriminate, but I think it's how we react with it
Hmm.
make a difference.
Yeah.
Sounds
I think
easy
that's very
too, but
true.
that's kind of hard because I feel like I still look at all the messages that come in, and then I think over the year, now we are more established. The negative message
Hmm.
became less and less, But the beginning
Hmm.
was hard. People
Yeah.
post on I post on LinkedIn about, oh, we got married, we use our wedding money because we need to have money to start a business. We use the wedding
Hmm.
money to start a business, so we have a small wedding of 9 people, including us.
Hmm.
Everybody chip in to rent an Airbnb by the lake. Everybody show up with a dish
I
for
love it.
our wedding. And then I share that story on LinkedIn. Oh my god, I got sent messages. People say, "Oh, you guys are so gross. Like, get the f out of Texas. You don't belong here. This is not LinkedIn
Just
appropriate." Uh,
what makes people think they have the right? I just that I just always am like, what makes you think you have the right to comment on stuff like that? Like in somebody else's life? What? I
I
don't
know,
know.
but I feel
And
like
how
it
it's
gives
so
us
hard
more
not to take so
compassion.
that personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gives more compassion, right? So we are like, okay, great. Well, however, you don't want to purchase from it's fine. We're actually going to use our brain to help other people, So now, so we do like fundraising for like LGBTQ homeless youth, Save
Mm-hmm.
June. We
Yep.
do it for different events for women's group, for Black people's group, and then we did a couple like silent auction item for Red End
Mm-hmm.
for the gala you guys have. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just I feel like to offset that, we just do more good because we
Yeah.
know the people that we support are the one that probably getting the same message like us, but worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Um that's so true because if they're hateful to one group, it's not the only one. you
Right.
know, people people generally are not just hateful towards one group of people.
Right.
Um, if they're hateful people, they're generally hateful to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
And it's
that's
all fear based. I kind of realized like, it's
yes,
all fear. Like they must be afraid of something and not knowing people who are
yeah,
different than they are. Like it's a lot of fear, and I think
yeah,
that's when talking. Sharing a story is
hmm,
so powerful, right? Because
yeah,
you can really know somebody, you know their struggle, you know where they came from, you know why they believe the thing they believe in, and
hmm,
that's when communication is so important when it comes to that.
absolutely. And that's you have to get to know people, and it's important to get to know different people. People from other cultures, people from other lifestyles, people from other um, cultures and uh, parts of the world. And I think that's one of the things I love most about traveling, which I haven't gotten to do as much of since COVID started.
Hmm.
But I think that's been. I mean, I have several degrees, and I think I've learned more from the travel I have done um, over the last 15, 20 years than I did in all of my education. Um, just about the world works,
Right.
how to relate to people, how to see people, and understand different circumstances and why things are the way they are sometimes.
Hmm.
Just I think it was Mark Twain who said something like travel is the best education.
I agree. And also
Yeah.
when I do some visualization sometimes, right? Like
Hmm.
we Mike is teaching yoga now, he does visualization workshop and stuff. And sometimes I ask you to visualize a good time, a happy time in your life, right? It's
Hmm.
always traveling, right? It's always like getting married, obviously the big
Of
events.
course.
And then it's like, oh, okay, we went here, we have a new experience together, or maybe
Hmm.
trying new food with friend, a new experience together.
Yes.
Like not once the memory, like not once is because, oh, I got promoted, I got a job, that memory, like never, they never show up in my head
Yeah.
when I do visualization. Is
Right.
there about getting paid more or like, oh, I got a brand new car? It's always about like spending time with people and having a good time.
Yes, it is. It's always relationship based.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people are relational, even people who like me are more introverted. Um, you know, we are made to be in relationship with other people, and we heal in relationship from trauma. That's one of the most important things is because so much trauma. I mean, trauma is based primarily on breaches in relationships,
Right.
betrayals and things like that. So much of that is what creates trauma. And so we heal in good relationship, by
Right.
forming good relationships. Um, so that's so important, I think, is meeting people and creating good relationships, and maintaining them, which is not always easy, especially the older you get and the more you have going on in your life.
I know.
But work at it like everything else.
Yeah, I think we all want to. Like, I trying so hard not to care about what other people think. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I
It is.
admire people. They can just don't give a crap about what other people think. You
Yep.
know, it's a skill
Yep.
set. Uh,
It is.
Especially like it depends, right? Like I definitely think like obviously the people that you love, you have a good relationship. You need to pay attention to
Yes.
what people say because it's probably for your own good, some way. Uh, but like random people or people you don't who doesn't even care about you, like if they say
Yeah.
something, like why should people care? Like that
Yeah.
again, that's a skill set that still take practice. I'm not quite there yet, but I definitely doing a lot better than I used to be.
That I got pretty good at. But it's because, yeah, I do. I care about what people I love think. I
Yes.
care about what my friends, because they're people whose input I value. But if you don't know me, you know, man, what you think of me, and
No
what you think
say.
about me. I mean, that's learned that a long time ago. Is honestly is that I don't. What you think of me is none of my business.
Hmm.
You have a right to your own thoughts. You decide to express them to me, whatever. If I don't like them, I don't have to. I don't have to engage with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't like you. Okay. I probably would. I probably don't like you either. So,
Yeah, I think we just wired. I think we're all wired to really do care about what people think, but to be able to
yeah,
separate that, it's a skill set. It's a power itself. Uh, Not easy.
yeah. No, definitely not. Definitely not. But I think that's one of the things that I developed in my trauma journey.
Okay.
Um, is that ability to shut off. Um, it may be good. I don't know. It might be good. Might be bad. But to shut off that I don't know, peer pressury type of thing, that takes in input, from people that don't contribute to my life in any way.
Yeah,
So,
so important.
um, yeah, it's one thing I've got going, one thing I've got down. Still a million more to go, but yeah, it's definitely valuable. So, so what else has Dumpling Dudes got going on? What else have you got going on with Dumpling Dudes, with your marketing? Mm.
So we kind of it's interesting. It's continually pivoting. I do feel like with what we did with Dumpling Do, uh, definitely give us a confidence on creating
Mm-hmm.
our own life.
Yeah.
Right, creating our own life, creating a life that we love, creating a life that we want to live in. We are definitely funny thing. So when we created Dumpling Do, right, our brand mission is to create the most fun and unique experiences. Okay, dumpling was never even mentioned in any of our stuff. Dumpling just so happened to be the vehicle that we decided to do. And that's why Mike
Mm-hmm.
created the whole yoga space, mindfulness space, because I still create the fun
Mm-hmm.
experiences. We're looking at other ideas. I definitely want to
Mm-hmm.
have travel involved, maybe in the future too. Um, Trying to
Yeah.
figure out what other experiences we can bring to people in addition to dumpling. I
Yeah.
think that's where we want to go.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's doing yoga. I still doing consulting and stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
for a local gym and for the big corporation again. But it's such
Mm-hmm.
an interesting going back to corporate the second time around. I really
Right.
do enjoy it. Now I work through my trauma. I really do enjoy this time. I had some really
Yes.
fun project I work on. Um, they they reach out to me. Obviously, I do a lot of communication strategy for them, but they just so happen
Mm-hmm.
to have a Pride event for the
Thank
second
you.
year in a row for the company-wide prior event. It's a global company. And I was
That's
just
awesome.
so touched that they reached out to me and
Yeah.
asked for my opinion, my messages and stuff for that. Uh, and then even for the Zoom call and stuff, they even create a background for all the employees that had the rainbow flag in the past. Like I was like, wow,
That's
for the
very
first time
cool.
in my life, I feel seen and I feel safe.
Yeah. What a big
I think
step.
safe is so important. Like it's not just displaying
Yes.
the flag, but it's like, oh, okay, you must creating the safe place for people to express themselves. So I think
Yes.
that part itself is so important for me, which made my work a lot more enjoyable. I can be myself, and but it just keep on changing. You know, we're just trying to figure out
Yeah.
what make us. I wouldn't say happy. What make us mindful and what make us a peace is what we're looking
Yes.
for.
Yes. And that safety is what is the foundation, for any workplace. And that's, one of the things I talk about with trauma informed leadership is
Yeah.
because the principles of trauma informed care, safety is ground zero. Um, you have to be to heal from anything and to create an environment that people feel welcome in,
Hmm.
for work too, is you have to create not just a physically safe space. Obviously, physical safety is important, but a place where they feel safe to be heard, to be themselves, to not be attacked in verbally or people you know character assassination behind their back or
Right.
stepping on them to get ahead. That psychological and emotional safety as well. Safety is just it's the foundation. Um, it's absolutely has to be the first priority.
Yeah, safety like personally at work and a different community like you belong to,
Hmm.
it's so important. Like I didn't feel safe for a long time. I remember I used to have to bring fake dates to work event because I was afraid of getting fired. At the
Oh,
time it wasn't like it was still legal to fire people in Texas at the time. I don't know what it
yeah,
is now. And then so safety is important and people think like for me, for being gay, right, minority, right, people think that it's people always say, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares about who you are? Just don't bring up at work. Just don't mention that you have a husband and boyfriend. Just focus on work, right? But at the same time, like when I go to work, people talk about, oh, this weekend I went to wine tasting with my
yeah,
husband. I went to
yeah.
my husband's grandmother's house, or all this stuff. Like
They have pictures on their desk.
picture on the desk, and but like for me to do that, it's like a slap on their face. You know, I was like, let
Yeah,
just double standards in either way, and then
yeah,
understand there's no like there's a discrimination policy. But if people are uncomfortable with you having your spouse picture on the desk, you really think you're gonna get promoted in a work situation like that? It again, it's a
yes.
safety, it's a safety and a mind safety issue. Uh,
Yes, because it is a policy is very different than a culture.
yes.
Because you can have all the policy in place that you want to meet, standards, legal standards and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But if it's not practiced, if it's not ingrained in the culture of the organization, then it's not doing any good. You
For,
know,
for sure. That's why organizations really do need your help. They do because I feel like and
there,
people are
yeah,
happier. They work show up better. I
yes,
really do think people are happy and safe. When people feel safe, their work is so much better than they had to spend
yes.
time worry about what to say, what not to say.
Hmm.
That's a trauma itself trying to hide it all inside of somebody.
It is, and they end up censoring their ideas because they're not sure how well they'll be accepted, and they don't put out their best work. You
Yes.
know, they don't collaborate because they don't trust the people around them, and so yeah, so not having a culture of safety and trust, it hurts the whole organization. And if people want to see that from a KPI standpoint, I mean, it hurts.
Yeah, for
When
sure.
people aren't able to give their best because they don't feel safe or seen, they're not going to do their best work.
and like it goes for friends too. I feel like all the
Mm-hmm.
really good friends we have, it's all because we share vulnerability. Like, oh, not just like, oh, I went on going on vacation next week, but like some deeper conversation too. About
Yeah.
like what you think of life, what's bothering you. Like if you need somebody to listen, just talk. Uh,
Yeah.
but that wasn't important to me when I was younger. It's only when I get
Yes.
older that became something
Yeah.
click, and then you just like, wow, okay, this meaningful connection is quite important.
It is important, and it's important. It's not that you have to be best friends with all your coworkers, but it's good to have that peer support.
Yeah.
So that if they know, that you have something going on in your personal life that's
Mhm.
taking you out of work mindset, they can help. They can maybe pick up some of your slack, um, or offer, you know, do you need to go home early today? I can um,
Right.
make some of your calls for you, or cover a meeting for you or something like that. So even if you're not coming to each other's birthday parties or whatever it was, you can still know each other well enough to know, like, hey, I've got a parent in the hospital, or
Hmm.
something like that, and I really need to be there for them. We can work something out. Um, Stuff like that's important.
Yes, for sure. Like that's yeah. I definitely really lucky through my career. I do have some close friends and also close like coworkers, like kind of like family, work family.
Hmm.
They were able to support me. So even like when things not going well, when I get burned out, at least I still feel like supported in a way, right?
Yeah.
Uh, But at the end of the day, it's still up to you, though. Like for me, like the burnout, like that can all happen, but you can still have burnout, like we discussed earlier,
Yes.
because we had to really
Yes.
understand ourselves. I think like
Yes.
you can love other people unless you love yourself first, which sounds so
Absolutely.
cliche, but it's
It
so
does.
true.
But it does. But you're right. All those little sayings. Because I mean, I had a great Redeemed was a great place to work. Don't get me wrong. And I still bring that.
Yeah,
Mhm. I did it to I allowed it to happen to myself because I wasn't taking care of myself.
right.
So I can't blame the fact that I didn't have a safe environment or good peer support, or something like that. I mean, I was not taking care of myself. So I know better.
But now you can share your superpower with the rest of the world.
Yeah,
That is a
that
gift
is
that
what
you're
I work
giving to other
on.
people.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I work on, and that's working on a book about trauma-informed workplaces. How to apply those principles of healing that we use in like different services and
Hmm.
foster care and stuff, to the workplace, because they transfer really well. To create safety, to have a trusting and transparent environment, to create peer support, to empower people to make choices, and have a voice in that, to be acknowledging of cultural, gender, historical trauma, things like
Right.
that. All of that applies in the workplace, you and keeps people from being re-traumatized, because
I love
you
that.
can be.
I feel like that should be a must read required by HR.
Thank you. Yes.
everybody, look under your desk. Is Desiree's new book.
Yes. Here, this is how we want to work. Yeah, this should be really implement these kinds of things. And yeah, I really am hoping that it's going to be something that will be, used in HR practices, used for businesses, and I'm developing a trauma informed leadership course,
Nice. Okay.
to go along with it when the book releases. So I really do, because I've worked in so many environments that were not, even though we were supposed to be providing trauma informed care to clients,
Mm-hmm.
the workplaces were not.
Right.
And you can't be providing healing care to people when the workplace is a
Yeah.
um, so so
And
yeah.
I think it's a perfect timing too because I think after COVID, everybody,
Yes.
I wouldn't say everybody, a lot of people went through like mental health issue, including
Oh yeah.
myself, right? Depression,
Yes.
anxieties, and people have trauma. Uh,
Yes.
I feel like it's for the first time it's more proper, or it's more,
Hmm.
it's actually part of professional conversation. People are not as afraid to talk about instead of
I
just
agree.
hiding it. So I think the
Yeah.
timing wise it's pretty good. Now hopefully it will be a momentum. People are more openly to talk about emotions and everything else
Yeah.
too.
I agree. I hope so. With all the controversy about remote work versus coming back to the office and
Hmm.
all of the stuff that's gone on and productivity. So yeah, I'm really hoping that it'll be a timely topic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Well, how can people reach out to you? How can people find out more about you and Dumpling Dudes and to hire you and to support you and all of that stuff?
Yeah, of course. So it's Dumpling Dudes, Dudez. We do mostly private party, corporate events, team building
Hmm.
event, team building competition. We did quite a bit of that. That's been very
That's
popular with
fun.
different universities. We have the University of Houston, the Fine Art Department. They did it.
Love it.
The Rice MBA program did
Oh, my
it.
daughter goes there.
Those are fun. Yeah, and then and then in our event, obviously we trying to, it's based on storytelling. We share our story. We help you create something fun, creating a memory that you and your team or family
Mm,
members or friends will remember. All the way from the basic dumpling to the baby Yoda dumpling at the very
I
end.
love that one.
And a lot of time we incorporate story into different initiative, right? We do a lot of
Hmm.
DEA initiative, talk about diversity inclusion. We
Hmm.
did one that's about marketing and branding. We did one that's about entrepreneurship. So it depends on the
Love it.
topic. We're trying to not waste any of our past experience, but putting it together into a storytelling format. So hopefully people will get
Yeah,
something out of it in addition to making dumpling. Like I said,
I
we
love
are
that.
here to create experience for people, and dumpling just so happen to be the vehicle.
I love that. And I'll put all your links in the notes for the podcast. But also, I mean, just follow the Dumpling Dudes on their social media because, like I said, like they just you always see them having such a great time, um, and you can really see the joy that they put into their work and that it brings out of people when they're doing these events. So that's one of the most fun things that I like, about it. I'm how I've enjoyed watching things evolve over time. Even like you said during COVID, when they were putting together the, um, cook at home
Right.
dumpling kits and stuff like that. I was like, what a great pivot to keep going and just make it doable.
Wow.
So the marketing genius, like I
Yeah.
said.
Thank you so much. Please put your book link in there too. I will share on our
Yes,
account too. The good thing, I think we have
absolutely.
quite a bit of following now, and I think everybody, I call it our tribe. They all have the same mindset about vulnerability. I know a
Hmm.
lot of them went through trauma because I do get a lot of messages
Yes,
on LinkedIn and social media about people sharing their story
yes,
with me. So they probably will enjoy your book and then bring it to their corporate. Oh
yes.
yeah, show it.
This is the one that's already out. Yeah, this is just a small booklet, but yeah, this is the one that's already out. What happens when we experience trauma?
Yes.
So for people who aren't, in the mental health field and stuff like that, like I go so simple, but not like this is the neurobiological aspects of how your body deals with trauma and how it responds, so that you understand like you're not crazy, you're not you're not acting wrong,
Yeah.
you're doing exactly what your body is designed to do
Hmm.
when you are in trauma. So it goes through the expected behaviors, the expected thought patterns, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So yeah, that's been received pretty well. I've even had a juvenile justice center up in Northeast Texas order copies
Oh, good.
for their kids, and so um, yeah, it's not a long book. It's a very simple but not um, condescending,
Right.
type of thing. It's a very, uses biological names and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if anybody can benefit from it, then it is on Amazon.
Nice.
So,
Cool.
so it's been so great. You too, and it's so great to see you, and I'm so glad we got a chance to talk. And I know everybody is going to love finding nice seeing your wants and stuff. So,
Of course.
um,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad. I'll put all of Chih's links, all of Dumpling Dude's information in the notes. And thank you, everybody, for listening. This is Empower Together, and Desiree Parker. Have a great day.